It was a chilly morning in Manhattan, the city buzzing with energy, as high-end shoppers wandered through the posh streets. Melania Trump, the former First Lady, strolled into a luxury boutique, her presence drawing a few glances. She had always been a style icon, effortlessly turning heads as she entered any room, and today was no different. Clad in a designer coat, her confidence and grace were unmistakable as she perused the store's latest collection. Despite her well-known public persona, Melania preferred to keep a low profile while shopping. She wasn't one to flaunt her fame unnecessarily, instead blending in with the crowd as she quietly examined items on display. Little did she know that today, she was about to face an unexpected challenge. The store was known for its exclusive clientele, and the employees were usually highly trained in handling their high-profile customers. However, one employee, a young woman named Sarah, seemed to have a different approach. She wasn't starstruck or respectful in the way most people would expect when dealing with someone like Melania. Instead, Sarah was clearly preoccupied, distracted, and indifferent to her presence. As Melania picked up a silk scarf, Sarah, standing behind the counter, couldn't resist making a remark. It was a sharp and cynical comment, one that she probably assumed would go unnoticed. But Melania heard it. Sarah muttered under her breath, not knowing that her words would ignite something unexpected. "She must think she's too good for this place," Sarah scoffed as she wiped down the counter, not even bothering to look at Melania directly. The word stung, though Melania didn't show it immediately. She simply continued to browse, appearing unbothered, but the wheels in her mind were already turning. She had endured her fair share of insults over the years, both in public and private. But this time felt different. This time, she wasn't going to let it slide. What Sarah didn't realize was that Melania was far more than just the former First Lady. She had the resources, connections, and influence to make any situation go from bad to worse. The woman she had just insulted wasn't someone to mess with, especially in a world where appearances and reputation were everything. As Melania walked toward the register, a glint of determination flickered in her eyes. Sarah was still completely oblivious, too focused on her task to notice the storm brewing behind the scenes. Little did she know, the consequences of her casual dismissal were about to unfold in a way she would never forget. And so, Melania prepared herself to do something that would make Sarah regret ever crossing her. The revenge that was about to unfold would be brutal, not in the way Sarah might expect, but in a manner that would leave her stunned and forever changed. As Melania approached the counter to make her purchase, she kept her composure, appearing calm and unfazed. She paid for her items with grace, exchanging pleasantries with the cashier. Sarah, however, still seemed completely unaware of the growing tension. As Melania left the boutique, she glanced over her shoulder, her eyes locking with Sarah for a brief moment. It was then that Melania's calm exterior began to shift. Instead of storming out in anger or confronting the employee directly, she chose a more strategic approach, one that would make Sarah feel the weight of her mistake in a way she couldn't have anticipated. Melania walked to her car, her mind already spinning with the possibility of how she could turn this moment into a powerful lesson for Sarah and the store. It wasn't about getting back at her for a simple insult. It was about ensuring that no one would ever treat her or anyone else like that again, especially in the context of a luxury store where high-profile clients were often the bread and butter of business. The next morning, as the sun began to rise over the city, Melania set her plan into motion. She didn't rush to social media or take to the press. Instead, she chose to make a more calculated move. Melania's phone rang with a call from her public relations team, as well as a few trusted contacts within the world of business and high society. After explaining what had happened the previous day, Melania asked her PR team to reach out to the boutique's management, but not in the way they would normally do. She didn't want an apology. She didn't need one. What she wanted was far more impactful, a change in the store's policies regarding customer service, especially for their high-profile clientele. Melania made it clear that she wasn't demanding Sarah's firing, but she insisted on a series of actions that would ensure such disrespectful behavior never occurred again. Sarah needed to be educated, and the store needed a lesson in the importance of treating all customers, regardless of their background or social status, with respect. The phone calls went back and forth for hours as Melania's influence began to shine through. She understood the value of making sure that her point wasn't just heard, but felt in the heart of the business world. The boutique's management team quickly realized the gravity of the situation. What they didn't know was that Melania had more connections than they had ever imagined. From influential fashion moguls to top-tier business owners, Melania had a network that could make or break their reputation in a matter of moments. The manager, clearly feeling the pressure, reached out to Melania personally. In an effort to avoid any further damage, they promised that Sarah would receive additional training in customer service and that all employees would be briefed on the importance of treating every client with dignity and respect, regardless of their social standing. But that wasn't enough. Melania wanted more than just words. She wanted a formal apology and a commitment to ensuring that something like this never happened again. And so, the boutique's manager, realizing the full scope of the situation, agreed to Melania's terms. They drafted a public apology and promised a major overhaul in their employee training program. But the real kicker came when they agreed to a special event, a private shopping experience hosted exclusively for Melania and a few select high-profile clients, including other individuals from her circle. This event would not only celebrate their loyalty as clients, but also serve as a reminder to the boutique staff that disrespecting anyone, no matter their background, would have consequences. As the details of this plan took shape, Sarah began to feel the weight of her actions. She had no idea that her casual comment would spiral into something so much bigger. Meanwhile, Melania, who had been so composed during the entire ordeal, now held the upper hand, orchestrating every move with precision and professionalism. She had turned what could have been a small insult into a powerful statement about respect, dignity, and the consequences of careless words. By the time the boutique's management and Sarah realized what was happening, it was too late. The event was a success, and Melania's message was clear. The store learned the hard way that a seemingly insignificant insult could lead to a massive shift in how a business was perceived. Sarah, who had initially thought nothing of the situation, now had a much deeper understanding of the importance of treating every customer with the utmost respect, regardless of who they were or what they looked like. Melania's revenge wasn't about humiliation or retaliation. It was about teaching a valuable lesson that would resonate with Sarah and the rest of the boutique's employees for years to come. It was a reminder that respect, in both business and personal interactions, should never be taken for granted. And though it had taken a high-profile incident to open her eyes, she knew that she would carry this lesson with her for the rest of her life. As Melania left the boutique, she felt a sense of satisfaction. She had turned an unpleasant situation into something far more meaningful, a lesson in human decency and the importance of setting an example. And as for the boutique, it would now be remembered for more than just its luxurious merchandise. It would be known for embracing a culture of respect, thanks to the woman who had quietly, but firmly, ensured that such respect became a fundamental part of their ethos. The day of the private shopping event finally arrived, and the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The boutique had been transformed into an elegant and exclusive space, brimming with luxury and sophistication. Melania had handpicked a select group of friends and associates, all of whom were influential figures in their respective industries. The store had spared no expense in ensuring that the event would go off without a hitch, hoping to mend the damage caused by Sarah's disrespectful behavior. As Melania walked through the boutique, she noticed the transformation. The boutique staff, dressed in crisp uniforms, greeted each guest with the utmost professionalism. The energy in the room was completely different from the previous day. The staff members were not just polite, but genuinely warm and engaging, eager to provide a top-tier experience for every person who walked through the doors. But it was Sarah who felt the most out of place. She had been made fully aware of the situation and the significant role she had played in it. Sarah was tasked with assisting Melania and the other high-profile guests, but she couldn't shake the feeling of discomfort. As she approached Melania, she was polite, but visibly tense. knowing that the woman in front of her had orchestrated the very event that could make or break her career. Melania, however, was graceful in her approach. She gave Sarah a polite smile and nodded in acknowledgement as she walked by. She had made it clear from the beginning that her objective was not to make Sarah feel humiliated, but rather to inspire change. And in that moment, Sarah understood the full extent of what had transpired. Melania had used her influence not for petty revenge, but to ensure that others in the boutique learned the importance of treating everyone with respect. Throughout the evening, Melania's presence commanded attention, but it was her quiet power and elegance that spoke volumes. She was an example of how to turn a negative situation into a positive force. As the event went on, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on the lessons she had learned. She had been humbled by the experience, realizing that it was not only her behavior that was under scrutiny, but the reputation of the entire store. She had made a careless mistake, and now she would carry the weight of that mistake for as long as she worked there. The boutique's manager, who had been watching the event unfold with a sense of unease, approached Melania towards the end of the evening. He had hoped that the private event would serve as a means of mending the rift caused by Sarah's actions, but he knew that it wasn't over yet. The store's reputation was still on the line, and he was uncertain whether the damage could truly be repaired. Melania, sensing his hesitation, turned to him with a calm and composed demeanor. She told him that while the evening had been a success, the true measure of the store's transformation would be seen in the future. It wasn't enough to simply host a lavish event. The boutique had to demonstrate long-term commitment to improving its service and culture. The staff needed to be held accountable not only for their actions, but for their attitude toward customers. The manager nodded, acknowledging her wisdom. He promised that he would work closely with the team to implement the changes Melania had suggested. It wasn't just about keeping high-profile clients happy. It was about ensuring that every customer felt valued and respected, regardless of their status. Melania had made it clear that this event was only the beginning of a larger cultural shift that would extend beyond this boutique and into the broader luxury retail industry. For Sarah, the evening was a turning point. She had been taught a hard lesson in humility and respect. She knew she had been given a second chance, and it was up to her to prove that she had learned from her mistake. The boutique's management had already put measures in place to ensure that such incidents would not happen again, but it was Sarah's responsibility to lead by example and show the world that she had grown from the experience. As the event concluded and guests began to depart, Melania stood by the door, offering a final word of encouragement to Sarah. She told her that everyone made mistakes, but it was how they chose to learn from those mistakes that defined their character. Melania didn't hold a grudge. She had used her influence to create an opportunity for growth and change. And in doing so, she had not only redeemed her own reputation, but also helped others understand the true value of treating people with dignity and respect. Sarah, still feeling a mix of gratitude and embarrassment, nodded in acknowledgement. She now understood that the real power lay not in the wealth or status that she had once thought mattered most, but in the kindness and respect that she showed others. And it wasn't just about improving customer service. It was about building a culture where every person, no matter their background, was treated with dignity and respect. As for Sarah, the experience was transformative. She had learned that everyone, no matter their position or title, deserved to be treated with kindness. The boutique had become a place where employees took pride in their work and customers left feeling valued. And in many ways, it was all thanks to a single moment of humility. A moment where Melania Trump, with her quiet strength, had shown not only Sarah, but the world that true power lies not in wealth or status, but in one's ability to treat others with genuine respect. This event had taught Sarah more than any training session or performance review could have. It had shown her that success in life wasn't just about career advancement or personal gain. It was about making a positive impact on the people around you. And in the end, it wasn't about how much money you had, but how you made people feel. And from that point on, Sarah vowed to always remember that lesson. The following days after the private shopping event were a turning point for both Sarah and the boutique. The staff had been given a stern reminder of the importance of professionalism, and management took it upon themselves to instill a renewed sense of customer centricity in their team. The luxury store had to prove itself not only to the elite clients like Melania, but to every single person who walked through its doors. The incident had sparked a transformation that was long overdue, and now it was about following through with actionable change. Sarah, once a symbol of arrogance and disrespect, found herself in a position of deep self-reflection. She realized that her role as an employee was not merely about performing tasks, but about representing the boutique's values and the brand itself. She began to take responsibility for her actions, understanding that the way she treated customers, no matter their status, had a direct impact on the store's success. The boutique had offered her a second chance to redeem herself, and she was determined not to waste it. As the days passed, Sarah worked harder than ever before. She approached her job with a renewed sense of humility and respect. Her interactions with customers became more genuine and attentive. The guests who had previously experienced her cold demeanor now found her warm and accommodating, and the atmosphere in the boutique began to shift. Sarah was no longer just an employee. She was becoming a symbol of the change the boutique needed. Management, aware of Sarah's transformation, took steps to reinforce the positive changes. They instituted a series of team-building exercises and customer service training sessions that encouraged employees to empathize with clients. They even implemented a feedback system where customers could directly rate their shopping experience, ensuring that no one felt overlooked or disrespected. However, not all the changes were subtle. The boutique's high-profile clientele, including Melania, began to take notice of the shift in the store's culture. Word quickly spread among the city's elite that the boutique had undergone a significant transformation, and many of the boutique's regular customers were pleased to see that the store had taken action to improve its service. Melania's quiet intervention had set off a ripple effect, one that led to a resurgence in the store's reputation. For Sarah, the hardest part was confronting the mistakes she had made. Every time she encountered a customer she had previously treated poorly, she felt a deep sense of regret. Yet, instead of letting these feelings consume her, she used them as motivation to continue her journey of growth. She even went out of her way to reach out to Melania, thanking her for the opportunity to change. One afternoon, a few weeks after the private event, Sarah found herself working a shift when Melania unexpectedly walked back into the boutique. She approached Sarah with a calm smile, offering a compliment on her improved demeanor. "I can see that you've really turned things around," Melania said. "It's clear you've learned from your mistakes, and I respect that." Sarah, moved by the genuine kindness in Melania's words, thanked her profusely. She shared that the lessons Melania had imparted during the private shopping event had changed her perspective on life and her career. "You made me realize that every interaction counts," Sarah said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I'm working hard to be the person I should have been from the beginning. Thank you for showing me that people can change." Melania nodded approvingly, knowing that the road to redemption was never easy, but seeing Sarah take full responsibility for her actions was a powerful thing. "You're welcome. I'm glad to see you embracing this change. Keep growing." The boutique's manager, who had overheard their conversation, was also pleased with the outcome. He had witnessed the positive transformation in Sarah, and he was confident that this change would ripple throughout the boutique's staff. He knew that Melania's influence had been the catalyst for something much bigger than a simple apology. It had been the spark that ignited a complete cultural shift in the boutique. As for Melania, she felt content. She had never set out to punish Sarah or make her feel embarrassed. Instead, she had used her influence to create an opportunity for growth. She had quietly taught Sarah, and by extension, the entire boutique, an invaluable lesson. Respect and kindness should always come before any material possession, no matter how luxurious. By the time Melania left the boutique for the final time, the atmosphere was noticeably different. There was a renewed sense of professionalism and warmth that was evident to everyone. It was clear